Yes, so the DeBarge story,
All right.
and here you are. When I looked and I saw your name, I was like, because I remember Boyz N Da Hood, and so you were the mother of that. So tell me about the mother of the DeBarge. How did you draw from this?
Well, let me start by saying, even in Boyz N Da Hood, I didn't really know what an ice cube was. I didn't even know the music, believe it or not, from NWA, because I was a theater actress. And I wasn't really listening to rap. And so here again, it's all about playing a character. I trained as an actor. And so when I read a script, if it jumps out inside of me, I do my homework and I play the mother that I would be. Now, in playing Etterlene DeBarge, I read her biography, The Other Side of Pain. I also talked to the director at length because he's very familiar with the family. I also spoke with Tyra DeBarge. They gave me a lot of insight because I could not understand a mother who would not know that this was going on. And this project is very timely with molestation and the Me Too movement. It's time to speak out about what's happening in the households and other places, you know. So playing Etterlene was an experience for me that I think I'm honored to play her because she loved the Lord so much. She was in church all the time. I hear she spoke in tongues. But just because you're in the church and having a relationship with the church, what is that relationship in your home?
Come on.
You know, how do you pay attention? So it was very difficult for me. And the universal God has a way of working with me so that I won't judge. When I did School Days, I couldn't understand why black women wore blue contact lenses. And then I got the dark-skinned wannabe. So I had to wear the blue contacts. So I had to try to understand the woman that would wear blue contacts. So I also had to understand a black woman who wore blonde hair, you know, or, you know, things of that nature. So there are things that I may judge that God works with me on working on myself. And it's, you know, you don't judge, you don't know, you haven't walked in anyone's shoes until you do. And so I found compassion and understanding for her, being that woman in church. And the pain of what happens to children, it never leaves them. And so she, I think, believed that if they had God within, they could work through it. But when they see their mother dealing with God at home and they had to go through that pain, where do you go?
You know, what was the relationship with the children? Was there any resentment, do you think?
Yes, when they got older, there was lots of resentment. And when you know better, you do better. And it was a little late for her on that. A lot of the kids resented her. I always thought, why did they forgive their dad and not forgive her? You know? That hurt me as Etterlene. Like, give me a break, you know? And I'm not going to give too much away, but hopefully everything that I did and said in the film will be there for you to understand, because I understood.
You understood?
Yeah, I understood a lot more than I did before I read the script. So, you know, everything, you know, these kids were really, really talented, and they were a blessing, but there was so much pain. And a lot of people look at, I work in Hollywood, but I'm not Hollywood, and a lot of people look at Hollywood and think glitter and gold, but it's a lot of hard work. And what those children had to endure because of their father was horrible. And, you know, I don't know what more to say than that.
Can you relate in your everyday life? Have you seen this story in Hollywood?
No.
No.
No, I was the kind of kid that, you know, my mom said the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And sometimes certain people can look in your eye and know if you will be a victim. I was never a victim. My mom kept her chicks close, and she spoke to us in ways. You get up, you put your clothes on, and if we needed her at any time, when I tugged on her, if she was at a party, the adult had to wait, and she got down on my level to say, what's going on? And that's what I believe. We have children should be heard, and in the South it was children should be seen and not heard. Not in my mother's house. They should always be heard. How do you feel? Tell me what's going on, because they speak the truth, and we need to pay attention. And that's one of the reasons I've been gone for about 27 years from Hollywood once I got married. And once I had my daughter, I only had one. I couldn't leave her until her foundation was truly grounded. And so now that she has her life together and my marriage is together, now it's time to get back to me and go within and use this instrument that I was born to do, which is acting, which is what I love. So.
Where do you get this strength from? Because there's such a strength and energy that comes from you when I'm talking to you right now.
Well, what I believe, just like yourself, I feel that strong woman in you, and I really believe in God bless the child that has his own. And when you have it and you're allowed to express it, I mean, I didn't know I was meditating when my mom made me mad or when I talked too much and was sent to my room. I got pretty excited because I'd go sit in my closet amongst my shoes, and I'd sit there and I didn't know I was meditating then. And when I sat in that mirror and I stared at myself because they called me ugly, I stayed there until I thought I saw God, and I had a lot of visions. And so I guess I enjoyed myself. I'm a loner, but I love who I am, and I always have. And I can feel it in you, strong women. We're all, we just have to tap into that. And I was a kid that was always fighting, but when I found acting, I put all that energy into that and studied it, character development, expression, and then I started to sail.
Wow. How long have you been in Hollywood?
My first professional job was in 1978. So I've been acting professionally since 1978.
Wow.
I lived in New York for 6 years after I went to college, University of Texas in Austin and Lon Morris Junior College, the two of them. I went off to New York and I did Broadway, off-Broadway. I did that and was there for 6.5 years. And then when Dreamgirls, the musical, went to LA, I went there and I honed in on the camera. And so I was there for 9 years until I met my husband. And I've been married 27 years now. Yeah, and so now I'm back.
You're back, and you're back strong.
Thank you, thank you.
DeBarge,
Well,
where did they get that musical talent from? Did Etterlene have
yes,
something to do with that?
Etterlene was a singer, a gospel singer. She sang in church, and that was their mother and there's so many things I don't want to give away, but she was a very strong woman, and she was no victim really, except for that she was abused by her husband. And with all those kids, you say, why did she stay? Mm-hmm. Well, you try having 7, 8, 9, 10 kids, nowhere to go. She was an African American woman, and you'll hear more about that, being married to a European American man. You'll hear more about that in the film, and try to understand why she was there. She loved her husband. She loved him.
Back in that time, being an interracial couple, did they run into a lot of...
Yes.
They did?
Yes, and that is in the film.
Wow.
We talk about that. Etterlene delivers those lines in the film. So hopefully it will remain there.
Okay. Very good.
All right.
I thank you so much for your time.
And I thank you.
You're beautiful, inside and out. You're such a spiritual woman.
Yeah, I have to be. I have my personal relationship to God. Just be still and know and listen to that inner voice. And when I was in LA, I took my radio. I didn't listen to love songs or anything. I just listened to what I was saying to myself. And that was the best way. So I wouldn't have to compete with anyone but myself, even to this day.
So those times in the closet, we went to the closet, trying to end my interview, but I'm so into you right now.
Okay. We can do it another time too, but go ahead. What?
Okay. Those times in the closet, when you went to your room, did that prepare you for everything in life? That little girl in the closet.
Exactly. You just gave me chills. Absolutely. That's when I look back on it now. How did I get all the way from Houston, Texas, that little Sunnyside neighborhood, to Hollywood, to the top? It was me listening to that inner voice, me staying in the mirror, watching myself cry. And I watched myself, and I comforted myself. I told myself I was beautiful, even though I was that dark-skinned girl that people called horrible names. But I convinced myself, and I prayed to God, that one day people would see me on that screen, and they would see beauty, and they would see themselves, those little brown-skinned girls. So yeah, and every time my dad and my mom sent me to my room to punish me, they had no idea how much fun I was having, honestly.
I thank you for your strength, and I thank you for being such a beautiful woman, inside and out.